I'm doing a test drive. Thank you. Remember to speak in Greek, speak in generality, not specific.
I can't tell if I have audio. Oh yeah, here we go. It's not using the right microphone.
Justin.
I can't tell if I have audio. Oh yeah. Okay.
I just stopped and
Don't care. I think everyone's calling me Draven.
Draven?
Yeah.
Then you phone the polar bear hotline, right?
Yeah.
Because that was really close to town. So.
Yeah. Actually, maybe we should leave these chairs open.
I think everyone's calling me Draven. Yeah.
I'll get that way. When you're ready. So ready. It's good for me. Thank you. Well, we're gonna use it too.
So this is gonna go to YouTube, so that there's a stream that people can. And then we'll
This will be Facebook.
What, the case?
Yeah.
No, she wants to use this. Okay. This is, I did this the other day. Oh, there we go.
Good for you.
Yeah, no, I was surprised
Nice.
that they
My phone actually fits in here.
would be willing to pay for it.
I don't start at that number. I'll stay. 2 minutes.
Time. Yeah.
Just to make sure it's working.
Yeah.
And so
There's been a few national stories. Duncan McHugh did an 8-minute back to national piece about 2 weeks ago. And it was pretty.
get that ready so we're gonna
Oh yeah, yeah. I had a great story about a lady in Paris slippers and 2 prime ministers.
Oh, that. I
No,
kinda
she
got
1983. With her husband, she moved business up there for 38 years. In 83, her husband gave Pierre Trudeau and his kids moccasins. She had posted on her wall in her store in Churchill a letter from Trudeau thanking him for the moccasins. And so she showed me new sets. And
You got to do the parking shuffle.
the son
Yeah,
has a pair already.
Oh wow.
So you don't
That's
feel
when you
like
got told.
For me?
Is that when you got told like to go or?
No,
That's
it
not
took
what
me,
you spent.
it took me 10 minutes to find parking.
Yeah.
It takes me
it's
2
one of
minutes to
those,
drive
you
here.
just
Yeah.
can't
And
find a
minutes
hook
to
like
find
that
As
for
I told
love
him,
of
I was
money.
like, maybe.
It's so good.
I said, we'll
She
try.
knew the premise
We could
would make
walk,
that.
but we'll
Like,
try.
they-
Yeah,
We should
well,
be
you
able to
guys are
find
closer.
something.
There's his
I can walk
dad's
too.
signature on
Yeah.
the
That's a few
paper.
blocks.
Oh yeah, you're further than us. We should have just walked.
Yeah. Oh, I know, I knew it would be like that, it's all.
But they're working on so many.
Yeah,
streets and
exactly.
They take away so much parking.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Just when you think you can find something.
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
really true. And
It's
Churchill
even in
specifically
Kenya.
here.
Yeah.
There's like a foot in front where the sign,
you
I
go,
figured,
you
it's probably
realize
okay.
Yeah.
I'm behind the sign.
What an asset. Oh my God. If you've been on Long Beach in Vancouver Island or at Jasper or the Gaspé, this place is right.
So you peek at yours.
This is It's right up there with it. And you get the whales on one side, polar bears on one side, picture teeth and pay the subsidy. Like, it's gonna be generations.
Yeah, it's
before
around town.
you get through it.
Yeah, I definitely turned down. It was a little off. Tron actually. Watching Matrix and that. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. The dark arts of fucking politics.
I haven't pushed play
It's
yet
very
or
fun.
record.
Okay.
You're gonna do it on yours.
Well, you have to do it on yours up there, and then I'll do yours.
Okay.
Well, that's the fall.
Yeah. And province is yeah. It's wild, like.
I find that. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the best read I can get on it is Pallister just doesn't have it anywhere, or be posturing that it might cost him money anywhere.
Alright, we're gonna start in about 4 minutes.
Good.
It's a very small one.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get a crew up before Christmas.
Yeah.
Kill some brain cells. Whatever. Well, you know, it's kind of, we kind of owned it. Now it's a revolt. Nobody wants to. No.
Anything on the description?
I'll type in the same description.
Well, you see lots of ORK anyway, right? You see those two.
Yeah.
She takes more time.
In the big box.
Neither one.
Oh, I keep
Yeah.
touching the screen. Thank you.
Or you could either one, whatever you want to do.
Oh, news conference. Let's call it
Yeah,
news.
Malcolm Mike.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what the camera.
Technical. They have it wired. It's just- nobody's phoning them at 10 o'clock on
Is it-
Saturday morning saying, let's stop.
18th
Today
or the 19th?
is 18.
Yeah. Not personally. No, in my travels, I never. I did see them play the Portage Village Inn, which is blocked down from here. Yeah.
Right, or what, yeah.
They came into town and they played a night at the Diamond Club or something like that, and they got canned. And so we were out drinking, and we were hanging out in Portage Village Inn a lot at that time. And
Oh my god, it helps.
we went. I was kind of drunk, and it was $5 to get in. I was arguing with the guy at the door. He's like, $5 for who? What? And there wasn't even a stage in the bar. They played on the floor, and they were really good. I don't remember them being
No.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then
Just going by the press release.
they were Canada's band.
Okay, there you go.
And that was the last time you were seeing them. Portage Village Inn, that's for sure. But, yeah. They got canned. They were booked it, they got canned. show, the national show last year, I went down to the Western Cultural Center. There were 150 people in there, just because they didn't want to watch it at home. They wanted to share that with others.
Good morning.
Grand Chief, good to see you.
So welcome to the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. Thank you all for coming. I'm Kim Wheeler, the new communications person for the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. So we're here today to hear remarks from the Grand Chiefs and Chiefs about the OmniTrack situation. And we're going to start off with statements and then open it up for questions. Speaking first will be Grand Chief Arlen Dumas of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, then Acting Grand Chief Nelson Janai, who is from Sapitoyak First Nation and is representing MKO, and then Chief Ted Land from York Factory First Nation.
Four legs should be here. Yep. Sorry, I'm just gonna squeeze by.
Good morning. Thank you for coming to our press conference. I want to take this opportunity to express our extreme disappointment at the lack of effort and motivation. I wish to express the frustrations of the Chiefs in regards to the lack of movement on this file. I believe we've done our part in using our resources and our leverage to find constructive ways for this matter to move forward in regards to the rail line to Churchill. I believe that our colleagues, our allies, who would claim to be helping us along the way have in effect very recently degraded our efforts, and that they've shipped out a barge. They've done a lawsuit. It's just, in essence, have struck a bell that's going to force the communities to have a sense of hopelessness, and that we want to take the opportunity today to make these statements and express our extreme frustration with what is happening. At the moment, everybody seems to be focused on business metrics and ensuring that we make sound business decisions. I can tell you that being involved from the beginning, that was always our goal. We'd always said that we were open to everyone. None of those things have changed. We're committed to moving this file forward. But regardless, at the end of the day, our community members all throughout the north are paying ridiculous amounts for food. They're paying ridiculous amounts for travel. Everything that the rest of the Manitobans take for granted are exponentially increased, and that our communities are being held hostage. And it seems as though our federal counterparts are not doing enough to expedite this matter, even though that we've done all of our due diligence, and that we've insisted that things be moved on. We've been given assurances. We've been given very senior people who are entrenched in the federal bureaucracy, but at the end of the day, we haven't seen anything tangible or any solutions come forward. We've brought forward the deal. We've brought forward the opportunity. We just need our assistance to finalize the arrangement, so that the people of the north along the Churchill line are not being told by someone else or other people's interests when they can eat or when they can travel. So that is the message that we were wanting to send here today. So with that, I'm going to ask my colleague to say a few words as well.
So good morning, Chief Nelson from Sapitoyak Cree Nation, Acting Grand Chief of MKO. Just a message to Northerners, Gateway to the North. We stand in solitude when we're in trouble. Here we are asking for help on behalf of the northern bands, and we're not getting any. What does a community do to bridge that gap, the railway line? Is it challenging the province of Manitoba to step up and say, do your part? When resources are involved, they take them, that's it. When it's our turn to ask for the help, where's the help? I have some examples from the bands that do live up north, Chief Bland, Chief Kennedy, and I'll show you specific examples of how it is to live north, and hopefully that they could be heard, and hopefully somebody could go up north, maybe the news people, maybe politicians could go up north and actually see how it is to be up there. So I'm asking you as the media, maybe challenge yourself to go up there and go actually find out what it takes to live up north. With that being said, I'll pass it on to my colleague, Chief Bland.
Thank you. Good morning. Chief Bill Bland from York Factory First Nations, also the chairperson of KTC. I believe I've said this a number of times. We have concerns for our membership up into the Churchill area and along the Bay Line. We have approximately 400 members that are living in Churchill in the KTC region, and our biggest concern, of course, is food. Our members, specifically for York Landing, they're requesting assistance regularly now because they're having a difficult time sustaining themselves, sustaining their families. With the employment, the employment that decreased because of a result of the railway line, people are having a difficult time making ends meet. And that's a huge concern for us. We've done our part as First Nations. We've come together, our organizations have come together to form one entity. And that was a request from the Canadian government, and we've done that. And now we're at a position where potentially it could go longer, and it's very concerning for us. As a result of that, we have a really bleak future is what I would call it, because we don't have an end in sight yet. So right now, our members are very concerned. We as leaders, like I said, we've done our part, and we're waiting now for the government and Omnitrax to settle their dispute, and let's get on with it now. We need some action. We need it to happen today. So I wanted to just say that, and thank you for being here today.
Good morning. I thank Chief for setting up this conference. I think it's very important for us in the north along the railway. You don't know how it is to go by train just 3 times a week. And but now the services will be, it's going to be affected in the long run because of the condition of the railroad. The railroad has been, I would say, deteriorating in the past 10 years. There have been many things that have not been done in the way that it should have been done a long time ago. Many of the past railroad people that have worked along the rail, they've noticed conditions also. Those are the conditions that I would like to see being repaired by our communities, by our people, and the north. Medical, when you go for medical and you miss an appointment because of the train schedule. As you know in the south here, that takes months before you can see a physician again. Those are, and it's even longer than north, the wait time. We don't know where the priorities are, whether they're first in the south and then in the north. And also, the cost of food has been going up. And it's very difficult. I just wanted to bring that attention to everybody. Bay Line are affected by what's happening in the north. I sincerely hope that Manitoba, Canada, and OmniTrack do what they can to help this railway and to make it a viable future. And I'm sure that with all Manitobans that we can do that. Thank you again.
Thank you, Chiefs. I just wanted to add, just to ensure that the message is sent. It's important that everybody realizes that this is more than just a financial arrangement. You know, the matter that needs to be really thought about or contemplated is the fact that there's a sense of hope. You know, I want to thank my chiefs for the amount of support that they have given over the past few years, where we have leaders have tried to provide a tangible solution and bring hope to the north, because hope is very much important. It's very integral to the survival of our communities. To those of you who do not appreciate what it's like to live in an isolated and remote community, you will never know the difficulty. You know, when we're getting into the darker time of the season, you know, these things truly play an effect on communities. So it's only made exponentially more difficult with the fact that, you know, the minimal service that we did have is actually going to be completely removed. And I need to express to our community members, our people who live along the rail, that we have tried our best to move the markers forward. We've advocated and we have pushed this issue as far as possible. And it seems as though that our federal and provincial counterparts are turning a blind eye and are not willing to do what is necessary and are willing to sacrifice our lives and our livelihood in order to maintain the status quo. And that I believe that there seems to be a very large effort to ensure that, you know, with the recent announcements of how air transportation is going to be a focal point in the future, it's almost as if that there's a message being sent that everybody's going to need to get used to becoming flying communities, and that's not acceptable. It's negligent, and we're not going to stand by that. And I need our community members to continue to stand by the leadership, because it is us from the north who know the consequences and the reality of what we have to go through, and we're not going to stand by and allow this negligence to continue. So thank you very much.
Of course, this is Chief Betsy Kennedy from Warwick First Nation, and sorry we didn't introduce you at the beginning. So we'll open up for questions now.
Would it be acceptable to the communities to have the federal government nationalize the rail line in the port as a solution to this, and to get somebody on the line to fix it?
From my perspective, I wouldn't be supportive of that. You know, that's completely up to the government. You know, they have the authority and the wherewithal to do these things, and if they wanted to do it, then they should have done it already. The whole premise of what we were trying to do was create a unique opportunity, an innovative opportunity, whereby we, as the collective people in the north, the First Nations people, could build upon assets that we would be in control of. And unfortunately, everybody seems to be focused on today, whereas we would like to look forward to tomorrow and what the future brings for these assets.
When you're speaking here today, are you representing One North as well? Do they agree with the message that you're giving here today?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I believe, you know, we agreed that we were going to work together. You know, I believe that you know, we're all here. You know, we're all delivering the message, and I think that the focus is the unity that we need to move this issue forward.
Chief Dumas, you say that it was counterproductive for the feds to, you know, threaten legal action or to launch a lawsuit. How could it have progressed otherwise? Like, you know, what might have happened, you know, other than that?
Well, I guess we had done the due diligence. We had used our own resources and our influence to ensure that we were made aware of all the various issues that impact this opportunity. We've walked down this path for almost a year. The feds were a part of it. You know, we were moving forward. They assisted and asked us to meet certain benchmarks, and we had come and we had found a solution that we thought would be best suited in order to conclude this matter. And instead of moving forward on that initiative and helping us pursue it, they pulled the rug out from under us. And now, you know, we all know how litigious processes work. And once that issue has started, it essentially nullifies all of the good work and the concerted efforts that we had been doing.
Were you warned, informed that you know, last Friday's announcement was going to be made? Were you informed that legal action was being launched against Omicron?
No, I wasn't informed personally. No.
So one
And I'm not
knows
a chief.
that
I'm the grand chief.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, sure. But Mississippi One North was not informed that the federal government was going to take this legal action against
I don't believe so, because we were all sort of taken aback when it happened. Right? We were all sort of taken by surprise. Now, there are different people who are you know, talking about the deal, and I can't speak for them, and I can tell you that I was not made aware.
What's your group's reaction to Omnitrax's emergency plan to repair the railroad in 30 days for $5 to $10 million? The one that sort of just appeared in the last few days.
Well, I can't speak to that specifically because I don't know it. You know, we don't represent Omnitrax, but we can tell you, and like, you know, Chief Kennedy's here. We had actually started embarking on a solution ourselves, and that we felt that based upon our expertise and the people that we were working with, that we would have been able to, had we had the support, we would have been able to actually make the line at least passable for freight. You know, if we done that, you know, a month and a half ago when we wanted to, if we would have had the ability to do so, we would have been able to look after matters on our own end, at least at that level, we'd be able to accommodate our communities.
Talking to the people in the Churchill area over the last several days, they say something along the lines of that the federal government should simply find a contractor, go in on the line, get an injunction or whatever legal means are necessary, get in on the line and start doing the work and send the bill to Omnitrax. And then after that, if it means going to court, go to court. But the priority should be getting somebody out there with the equipment to start the work. Would you support that?
No, because I would support the efforts that we have been working on for the last year and a half. Had the government actually moved along with what we were suggesting and how we wanted to do things, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. And you know, everything else is hypothetical and you know, after the fact. You know, so I can't speak to that. You know, had the government listened to the options that we had brought forward earlier in the summer, we'd own these assets. They belong to our communities collectively, and we would have created a new opportunity for Manitoba.
In talking to the people at Omnitrax, I asked them, because I had heard that they had declined opportunities to go on the line and have independent people make the assessment themselves, and they told me, well, we've done this engineering study, it should be enough, that's sufficient. What's your reaction to that? Do you think that it's appropriate that either Keewatin Rail or an independent set of engineers hired by the province or the federal government or Mississippi or One North be allowed to go and have a look?
I think they should be allowed to go and have a look, but I don't think we also need to. You know, I'm very confident in the skill set and the abilities of our employees at Keewatin Railway Company. They've been commissioned over the years to go do work. They're very familiar with that sort of tracks. They've gone and helped, you know, the HBR crews over there. So it's not necessarily as difficult as people are wanting to make it. You know, as I said earlier, we had an assessment, an initial assessment. We had asked our very skilled people to give us their ideas as to what strategy we could do in order to at least make do with service this fall, and we could have done that. Maybe we still could if something moves today.
You know, the numbers that have been tossed around, been said, started at $43.5 million to do a full fix, and then this recent emergency plan is $5 to $10 million. We were here, and when Keewatin said we could get in there and do it for much less.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other numbers are from Omnitrax.
Right. Well,
do you believe them, or?
No, we need to take a look at the details, right? So fundamentally, and I'll go back with what I was saying earlier, you know, how much did it cost to barge out that locomotive yesterday or today or whenever it's being barged out? What is that, $6 million? I'm sure we could have done something if had those been resources been made available to us in order to fix the rail line. I can't talk to whatever degree these quotes have been. You know, if I could get a high-speed train to Churchill, of course I'd want to do that, and I know that the cost of that would be astronomical. But
you mentioned that you felt that there was an effort to make the northern communities fly in, and I guess the conclusion of that would be that that's the abandonment of rail service completely. What leads you to believe that the federal government, for example, is pushing all of this toward a fly-in service and nothing else?
I think I find it very convenient that, you know, I believe it was Comair did a grand pronouncement a couple of weeks ago about how they were going to voluntarily ship something up north, you know, and that I guess unfortunately, if the government continues to follow this logic of allowing the northern people to bear the brunt of the financial costs of not having the railway, then it would seem that would be the logical solution for them. We would rather not spend money on the government would rather not spend money on the rail, but the people of the north, they can bear the expense of paying $1,000 to fly down to Winnipeg to go get groceries and, you know, all of those things. So it just seems that if there was no tangible solution for the opportunities that we had given them for the past year, then, you know, throwing this lawsuit into the mix is essentially sending me a strong signal that there is no commitment to repair the line.
Can I ask?
Oh.
You've said, Grand Chief Dunes, that this current strategy by the feds to take this legal action against Omnitrax has disrupted the efforts that you had in place. Can you tell us just how close you were, Mississippi One North, to acquiring or to finalizing a deal, and what how has that changed now? Do you have to take a different strategy? I mean, how close are you to actually finishing this deal that you've been working on for a long time? I know.
It's a good question. I would say that a month ago, when our two groups had merged, I was under the impression that the deal was essentially going to be done. And it was about a month ago we met, right, Chiefs? Right? So, as much as I could tell, I thought it was done. We would conclude it and we would move on. So despite, and as I had said, we've been asked to do certain things, we've been asked to make certain concessions, we've been asked to come together and meet and do certain, so then to throw this lawsuit into the mix really, to me, just kind of throws me off and goes, well, why did you ask us to do all these things if this was going to be a reason? Individuals actually wanted to see more tangible things. So we drafted letters together and we attended meetings together, and we're here again today together.
It's clear that you're angry and disturbed by the action of the federal government. Can you give us a sense of the responsibility of Omnitrax in all of this? A lot of people in the north blame the railroad company for how it's managed it, and then how it's managed the file since they said a year ago that they're getting out of the business.
Mm-hmm. I guess as far as Omnitrax, and again, I wanna go back to the federal government. I've asked the federal government. It seems that Omnitrax is looking for a way out. We want them out. We believe that we have actually met with various people who are willing to work with us in the future, but they're not going to participate until Omnitrax is out of the way. As strange as it seems, at the moment, Omnitrax is still operating and running aspects of their railway. They haven't completely abandoned us. If they wanted to, I think they could have done that months ago. But we need to figure out fairly quickly here what the solution is going forward.
You've had some criticism for the feds. What about the province? How much are they involved in this?
I think that I not only in my opening statements, I'd also mentioned the provincial government. I think that the provincial government also needs to play a role. They had let us know earlier that once we were able to complete this deal, that they would play a role. I believe the Premier had made a grand announcement a month ago or so, that they're allocating certain resources in the future. But the reality is we need those resources now, and perhaps this would be an opportune time for them to step in and help us complete this deal so that we can move forward, because they will play a role in the future.
If we take apart the issue of fixing the rail line and leap over that to who would own it, have you got a satisfactory financial package in place that One North Mississippi can take over the assets if the deal's done?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we've done our due diligence. However, we're going to need a little bit of time to make things move the way they need to move. The excuse has been, oh, well, you need to have a proper business plan. Well, you can't have a proper business plan in light of all of the significant changes that have happened with the economy. We need to be innovative and find various niche opportunities to make this railway successful. It will not be what we've understood for the last 100 years. There are moves and steps that we will be making in order to better serve our people in the north.
So that you said yes, the financing is in place, but there are other things to do going forward.
Absolutely.
Does the financing come from the federal government, or
we have some with we're going to need the feds and eventually the province to help us out a little bit, but we also have people with great economic interests in the north that are willing to come forward once we secure the deal.
Chief Kennedy, just to be clear, can I ask, folks from War Lake, are they, how often do they have access to, rail travel out of the community, out of Gillam or wherever?
Right now it is 3 times a week.
Okay.
But as of November, there will be changes in the schedule. Also, there's communities along the line that they will lose 1 day service. The service, when it is changed, it will change how long we will stay. Currently, we stay at one night, and now it might probably be 2 or 3 nights. Those things we haven't really looked at, and those are the ones that are going to be impacted. and also talking to one of the people living on the rail, they said that medical is going to be from Sunday to Sunday. So one day they'll be out for a week and missing jobs for a week. So
Just wanted to make one comment, and I was listening to some of the questions. When you were questioning about Omnitrax and the preliminary number that they had of 63 or something like that. 43, sorry. Those numbers, that's for the whole railway line. That's not just that section of damaged rail. That's everything, right? And that hasn't been serviced for years. They're trying to get everything repaired in that one belt. That's not that one section that's damaged. Our assessment that was done, just from the pictures and that, there's only one section of railway. I think it's about 50 kilometers long, and they're only sections, not the whole thing. That's where that number comes from, and that's why we threw that number out of $2 to $4 million that we can get it repaired and operational again through light rail.
I mean, if you're sort of being a devil's advocate and you're looking the way the feds are looking at this and they see these numbers and they aren't focused on just the damaged parts but the whole rail line, and do you blame them for being sort of cautious with Omnitrax?
I think they have an understanding. We've sat down with the government, the federal government, and they have an understanding of the actual damage and the whole railway repair. We've had that discussion with them as well about the repair of the whole line. But for the immediate needs, this is what it will cost to get the light rail operational.
So is there any value in the feds threatening to sue them?
At this point, there's a bigger picture to consider. I think what they should have done is just made an arrangement, some quick arrangement to let us on the rail, let us fix it, and then let's go to the table and negotiate. There's a number on the table that was, I think before the flooding of the railway line, I think there was a sale price that was quite high, and after that line, it was significantly reduced. Yeah, I can't divulge any numbers, but it's a lot lower. And they had a press conference a few months back, and I was saying, the damage is so significant. If you're looking at that number, why don't you just walk away and hand it over to them? That's what I was saying to them.
I remember.
Yeah. So I think that opportunity is still there. We'd like the government to look and reconsider what the steps are. Like, let's just negotiate. Let's just sit together and look at what the real issues are here. We have people that are having a difficult transition, and they've been experiencing that since May. And it's not getting any easier. I'm very concerned that people are going to be going into depression. Loss of jobs, loss of income. Having a difficult time supporting their families. Those are my concerns, and the government needs to act, and Omnitrax needs to come to the table. That's the way I see things, and I'm quite frustrated, and we need to see something happen. And, the provincial government, to me, they've been very quiet. They haven't been to the table with us. That's my thoughts on it. Where are they? Why aren't they at the table more? They've made a commitment because it's their municipality, but they have no obligation for the railway line, right? But what does that mean? Why don't they have an obligation? It's federal, but they have a responsibility to those people to make life more simpler and easier. So that's my thoughts on it. But I just want people to know that Omnitrax, that bill amount that they put out there is not the real number. But thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. We just wonder if it's that's
I wanna say hi to Mark Town.
worked.
Yeah, that's right.
Or